Hi, this is David with Mad Bros Media. I'm here with Bob Eubanks, the legendary Bob Eubanks. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Now I'm sitting with you. I couldn't be more excited.
Me too.
So I'm gonna start off with asking you. So you started modeling at a young age, and then you went into disc jockeying. Is that correct?
Yeah. I became a disc jockey in 1958. I was working at a little bitty station out in Oxnard, and one night I had an album giveaway contest, and I said I'll give them to the first person that calls, and nobody called. So I made up a name and took them home, and I realized then I was talking to myself, so I decided to drive to the hot new station in town, KRLA, and I wanted to see what the big guys look like, and I was sitting in the lobby, and I could tell they were having a disc jockey meeting, and the all-night man had a sore back. He couldn't come in. So I walked up to the program director, and I said, "Oh, hi there, I'm a disc jockey." He said, "Do you belong to the union?" I said, "No, but I can." I borrowed $360, went on the air that night, and I was there 7 years to the day.
Yeah, and then did you have any kind of do you ever do any kind of kind of professional schooling for your voice? Because even today, you have that amazing kind of warm voice for radio.
No, I never did anything that way, but I will tell you, when I was going to radio school, the guys were coming out of Korea, and they had these big, deep voices, and I had one about like this. So it changed over time.
Yeah, I would assume, with just years of practice, right?
Yeah.
So this is one big question, like a whopper of a question. So how did you land the famous gig promoting the Beatles?
Well, what happened was I had a young adult nightclub called the Cinnamon Cinders in North Hollywood, and I was a disc jockey. So that gave me a leg up both ways. So when they decided they wanted to tour America, I went to their agency and I said, "I want them." And the guy said, "You've never produced a concert in your life." I said, "I know, but I still want them." So they agreed, and they said, "If you can have the Hollywood Bowl, you can have the Beatles." And the Bowl said, "If you got the Beatles, you can have the Bowl." So I put it all together, and I found out now that I'm the only living person to have produced a Beatle concert all 3 years they toured.
Wow, I mean, it just blows my mind. It's incredible. I mean, do you have can you give us a quick story about meeting them and Brian Epstein?
I met the Beatles at the press conference in 1964, but I met Brian Epstein earlier than that because I wanted a second night. And I'd have to call him at 11 o'clock in the morning London time. And so I heard he was coming to California. I scheduled a meeting with him at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I went over there with my attorney, and this guy answers the door. He said, "Mr. Epstein is in the bathroom. Maybe out in a moment." So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden he comes out of the bathroom and his fly's open. And my attorney says, "That's a hell of an entrance you make." And he was so embarrassed. And I could have gotten anything from him except a second show. I didn't get a second show. So the next year, I wouldn't take him unless I could have 2 nights.
Yeah. You were...
I will say this. They really loved Brian Epstein, but I think he cost them millions of dollars because all 3 years, they would only let me charge $7 top price. All 3 years. And they had no merchandise. And there are acts on the road today that, that's all they make their money on is merchandise. So I think he cost them a lot of money, but they loved him, and that was great.
And they're still, it turned out, I think, for the better for them because they're still even relevant today. They're still the best, that forever.
Well, like I said, they would only let me charge 7. It was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And when Paul McCartney did the Wi-Fi Stadium recently, there were some tickets down the front row went for $4,000.
So you hosted about 6 game shows. Was there a game show that you didn't host that you maybe wanted to host?
No. I did Newlywed. I did Card Sharks. Card Sharks was really a lot of fun for me too. And no, I was very blessed on the ones that I did. I really was. I shared a dressing room with Bob Barker. When he was there, I wasn't. And when I was there, he wasn't. So up on the wall was this beautiful plaque that said WGMC. And I, being the rascal I was, and I took it off the wall and I put it under the couch. So I'm out at the ranch roping cattle. I get an emergency phone call from the producer. Where's Barker's plaque? I said, what do you mean? He said, don't mess with me. He won't go on right now. We got to do 5 shows. He won't go on until I find his plaque. I said, oh, for God's sakes, it's under the couch. I said, what does that mean, WGMC? He says, world's greatest MC.
Well, I don't know. I still like the Newlyweds over Price is Right, though.
I was amazed that somebody could replace Barker because he did a really good job.
Yeah, he was there.
And he was doing a good job right now, too.
Yeah. You have any plans for like a Bob Eubanks biopic in the works or anything like that? Or who would you like to see play you in a film?
Oh, my God. I've never been asked that question. Oh, wow. I don't know. I really,
They'd have to find someone real handsome, huh?
I don't know about that.
Or find Brad Pitt or something.
I'm doing a podcast, and I'm writing a audio book called Short Stories About Big People. And I have about 300 stories that are, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Nothing really, really serious, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But then there's some stories in there that I'm getting even.
You've been in the business a long time, so you probably met everyone and everybody.
I started in the business in '63 at that little bitty radio station, and I have a philosophy in life that you take what you know how to do and apply it in other areas. Like, for instance, my concert activity led me to artist management, and I managed Dolly Parton and Barbara Mandrell and such. So I've had a wonderful time, and I'm still having a wonderful time.
Yeah, we're glad to hear that, and glad to meet you.
Thank you.
It's been said that you're one hell of a cowboy. And on that note, do you own any horses or cattle or a ranch? Do you own any of that?
I don't own any horses now, but I did. We had a ranch up in Santa Ynez, California, and I was a competitive team roper, rode in a lot of rodeos, and here again, I took my knowledge of horses and applied it to television, and I hosted the National Finals Rodeo for years, and then I did the Rose Parade for 34 years, and once again, I knew about the horses, and that helped me.
We're from Washington. Apparently, I think, if I'm correct, I think Paul owns the horse in this stable in Seattle. So it's kind of weird. Yeah. Huh? Oh, Paul McCarty. Sorry, Paul McCarty. Yeah. Supposedly he owns a horse, and it's in the cattle. It's in the stable in Washington.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Supposedly.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much in giving us your time and sitting down with us, Mr. Eubanks.
My pleasure. Did you hear what happened to the president this morning?
I did not.
He had to go to the hospital. He couldn't stop Putin.
Oh. That was a good one. This has been David with Mad Bros Media.